So this is Ruslan Belov. Well, Zelensky has once again issued threats regarding Victory Day, which of course is not Victory Day for him, and regarding the parade. Medvedev responded to these threats, promising that May 10th simply won't come for Ukraine. But as they say, he's staying true to his usual rhetoric, so there's no need to take it too seriously. What we should take seriously, however, is the fact that there's no hint of peace with Ukraine. If not long ago something seemed to be floating in the air, it's now clear that everyone is in a serious mood, and it looks like this will drag on for at least another year. Combat operations, of course, continue, and we'll keep analyzing the situation on the front lines. Let's open the map. So friends, today there's a lot of good and very important news, plenty of solid advances, and the army is still maintaining an above-average pace. In fact, some really good news is coming from the area near Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, so make sure to watch this update to the end. But this time, we'll start from the north and then gradually move south. Before that, I'd like to separately mention an episode from Kherson Oblast. The thing is, yesterday, the Ukrainian Armed Forces, AFU, fancied themselves as invincible cyborgs and attempted to land on our left bank near the settlement of Dnipropetrovsk, located here. They did manage to land and even advanced a bit into the forest, but they didn't make it back, and they never will. Now let's move to the main sectors of the front. The defense of the Azov units continues to collapse on the Lyman direction. Here, take a look. Yesterday, we had significant progress, most importantly on both the right and left banks of the Zherebets River. On the right bank, we advanced south of Makeyevka, and by a considerable distance. Let's measure it, about 4.5 kilometers. If we measure east to west, it's 2.7 kilometers. Also a very good result. The total area captured here was 9 square kilometers, and that's just on the right bank of the Zherebets. Not long ago, we'd barely scraped together 9 to 10 square kilometers across all frontline sectors in an entire day. Just look at the statistics for April. Over the entire month, about 320 square kilometers came under our control, averaging 11 square kilometers per day. And here we have 9 square kilometers just on the right bank of the Zherebets. As you can see, the pace has noticeably increased. What else can I say about the right bank? Fighting continues for Red Kodub. Credit where it's due, the AFU are resisting fiercely here, so progress has slowed a bit. But from Novomikhailivka, we're already approaching the village of Novyi Trud, which I'll remind you is in Kharkiv Oblast, not Donetsk. Now let's move to the left bank of the Zherebets. Another breakthrough happened here yesterday, this time from the southern outskirts of Yamapolovka to the northern part of Torske. The depth of advance is also impressive, over 3 kilometers, 3.2 kilometers to be exact. As a result, the entire area between the two villages has been cleared, and the northern part of Torske is under our control. Assault troops are now trying to push from the northern part of the village toward the center. The total area of advance here on the left bank is 3 square kilometers, compared to 9 on the right, meaning that on the Lyman direction alone, we took control of 12 square kilometers yesterday. Impressive results. But that's not the most impressive part. Let's move to another sector. A few more words about the Lyman direction. Right now, the main focus isn't even on advancing toward Lyman itself. In fact, there's been little progress there. Instead, the emphasis is on pushing north. The immediate objective, given recent successes, will be to straighten the front like this, from the village of Novyi Mir to Kopanki. Only after this task is completed, once the front is straightened and everything east of it is cleared, can we talk about prospects for reaching and capturing Borova. As for Lyman, things will start moving there very soon. You'll see. For now, on the left bank, the task is to secure the flank for the upcoming summer operation to advance toward Lyman. Now let's move on. Our advance continues on the eastern flank of Minod. Among the recent successes we've already discussed is the capture of Nova Alenivka. But now there's a new achievement, an advance east toward Alexandropol. This is the village. The total depth of advance was 2.5 kilometers. I don't yet have confirmation on whether we've managed to consolidate our position in the village. However, as you can see, American cartographers are marking a gray zone in the western part of the village. And they don't do that for no reason. This indirectly suggests that our forces have indeed had success there. At the very least, the western part of Alexandropol is now under our control, or at least it's a grey zone, meaning neither we nor the AFU have full dominance there. Let's wait for objective confirmation footage. For now, we can confirm that fighting has broken out over the village. The capture of Alexandropol is a necessary and important development, because it will allow us to begin advancing towards Zare. As a result, a significant area to the south, about 35 square kilometers, along with the AFU forces stationed there, will be encircled. So we're keeping a close eye on this. Now perhaps the most significant advance has occurred on the sector of the front, near Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Yes, not the largest in terms of distance, but the most important, I'd even say critically important. What happened here? Our assault units launched a push from these positions toward Kotlyarivka. Most importantly, there's confirmed footage of our troops entering Kotlyarivka itself. The advance, as I mentioned, wasn't the largest in scale, but still impressive at 2.8 kilometers. Again, the numbers aren't the key point here. What matters is the fact that our forces have entered Kotlyarivka. And let me tell you, this wasn't an easy task. The path was blocked by a wide, deep trench, a natural defensive line the AFU had been exploiting. But our troops found a solution, and it was almost laughably simple. A ladder. Yes, just a ladder laid across the trench, allowing them to cross to the other side. Why is this event so significant? Because beyond Kotlyarivka, there's nothing, just open fields and then Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. To put it in perspective, it's only 3.5 kilometers from Kotlyarivka to the Oblast border. And those 3.5 kilometers lack any meaningful fortifications. Even Ukrainian military analysts have written that holding positions in and around Kotlyarivka was absolutely critical for them. Otherwise, the entire defensive line in front of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast would collapse. Well, for a while they managed to hold. But now it's over. We'll be closely monitoring developments. The coming days could be decisive here. Finally, one more advance today, this time on the Komarivka sector. Our forces pushed from Novoselka to Volnipol, covering 3.5 kilometers. And notice how we've grown accustomed to these numbers, the kind we used to only dream about. To recap, on the Lyman axis, 4.5 kilometers on the right bank, 2.7 kilometers on the left. On Minohrad's eastern flank, 2.5 kilometers, near Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, 2.8 kilometers. And here, 3.5 kilometers, an excellent pace of advance. And this is just the beginning of the spring-summer campaign. We'll see what comes next. There will be no ceasefire, and the likelihood of a summer-autumn 2025 campaign is now virtually certain. This was already evident after several rounds of Russian-American and American-Ukrainian negotiations held between February and April this year. The sides' positions remain extremely far apart. Moscow is ready to start talks with Kiev without halting combat operations, and will only agree to a ceasefire after Ukrainian forces withdraw beyond Russia's constitutional borders. In turn, Ukraine refuses to pull the AFU out of the parts of Donbass, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson Oblasts it still controls, and insists on an immediate ceasefire along the current front line. Over several months, neither side has budged. A new round of talks likely won't happen until late this year, and its outcome will depend entirely on the situation on the ground. Most likely fighting will intensify sharply after May. And who strikes first? That's the big question. That's all for today's Frontline update. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned.